All right, everyone, I think we're going to get started. I do realize we may have a few people joining us in a little while, and that is totally fine. We are recording this session as long as technology holds for us. So I'm happy to have it recorded. I'll be sending it out to HR, and I will also post it in the chat box. So just a couple of housekeeping things as we go along for the first session today. My name is Cara Miller. I am your campus dietitian. I'm more than happy to be here today. I know I haven't met a lot of you, and especially because of COVID, I haven't even gotten the chance to be on some of the campuses. I do cover the greater Nashville area and support multiple universities across the Nashville area. So I'm more than happy to be here today. Again, thank you for having me. This is the first session. We're going to have a once a month call. So next month in February, we will be talking about heart health, but today we're going to talk about rethinking your plate. I am recording the session just so that you are aware. I did mention, I will send it to HR and I will post in the chat box. Other things you'll see in your chat today, I did put a couple of links. So if technology gets wonky and I lose my slides or you can't follow, feel free to pull up those slides. I did put the link there. I also put the link in case you want to share with a friend. This invitation is open to everyone, so feel free to share the link if you have someone who you think last minute might want to jump on. I also put my email address in that chat box. You just have to scroll up through all the people that have joined in the meantime, but you can see my email address there. And then I also put a link. I'll be referring to our school's university dining pages. I put all of those links there. So I know every person on the call is from a different university. I wanted you to have the information that is appropriate for your school specifically. So we're going to jump right in. Again, my name is Cara Miller. For anyone who has joined us a little bit later, I get a lot of questions about the initials behind my name. It's a Master of Science, registered dietitian, licensed dietitian. It gets a little bit complicated, but along the lines of what is the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist, I'm always happy to answer this question. A dietitian is someone who has completed a nutrition undergrad. Then we have to go on to do a year of clinical rotations, and then we have to pass the national exam and get certified licensed by the state that we work in. Technically, dietitians are nutritionists. So that's a great question too. Well, are you a nutritionist? Yes, that's the RDN, registered dietitian nutritionist. It's a mouthful. A nutritionist is anyone who studies nutrition. So yes, dietitians are nutritionists. However, if you're looking for more in-depth nutrition information, you're going to see a professional. I highly recommend seeing a dietitian. Nutritionists can be very wonderful as well. You just need to look into their credentials and their experience to make sure that they're qualified to answer all of your questions, especially as it relates to any medical condition. You want to make sure that you have a dietitian who can speak to those medical nutrition therapies. So let's get right into it. Again, I appreciate you coming today. We're going to talk about rethinking your plate. The first thing I wanted to cover are fad diets. As we enter into January, everyone always has a fad diet or some kind of nutrition change that they want to make with the new year. And as we're in today, 26, most people have probably dropped some of those nutrition habits already or those nutrition goals. So I have two little kids. We read a lot of Dr. Seuss, and there's the Go Dog Go. There's also I think it's a movie or a book that's like See Dog Run. I thought about that this morning. I thought, see diet, run diet, run from a diet, run, go away. So what is a fad diet? Too good to be true, right? We always know those things. Our mother used to tell us that too. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Promised fast results. That's another thing. If they tell you you're going to drop a certain amount of weight, or you're going to feel like $1 million in 2 days, or just do this cleanse, you're going to feel awesome in 24 hours. It maybe is too good to be true. They're promising fast results. Another thing to be mindful of is eliminating major food groups. So a lot of people are now familiar with the ketogenic diet, where you're eliminating all carbohydrates or almost all carbohydrates. We also have things like paleo, Whole30. Whole30 is meant to be for a short time. A lot of people take it on for a little bit longer, even more than 30 days. Sometimes people that run it over for a year or more. And you're eliminating big food groups. You're maybe eliminating all grains, you're eliminating dairy. And I think sometimes people say, oh, well, if I don't have dairy, I'll just take a calcium supplement. There's a couple things there. Nutrition and science has really shown us over the years, especially, that a multivitamin or a single nutrient vitamin supplement is not as good as a whole food. So by eliminating dairy products and substituting with a calcium supplement, we know that that's not absorbed as well and doesn't correlate as well to the health benefits that we've seen. The other thing is that there's a complex food there. A dairy product has more than just calcium. It has phosphorus, it has vitamin D. Both are great for our bones, for our dental health. It's also good for energy. That vitamin D is great. A lot of us now this time of year, seasonal depression is a real thing, especially where I grew up north in Wisconsin, less sunlight there. So making sure that you're getting these complex foods in the form that they were originally meant to be consumed is where you want to be. You don't want to be eliminating major food groups. It may encourage diet culture. What the heck is diet culture? Some people are familiar with this term, others may not be, but it's becoming very common, especially with social media and a lot of the news sources. They're telling us to be thin, look a certain way, do a certain thing at any cost. They're maybe not taking into consideration medical conditions, mental health, how we are healthy overall. They're just looking at appearance or just looking at physique. So making sure that you're not buying into diet culture. I always give the example of if you go out to eat with a friend and they say, "Oh gosh, Susie, you're being so good. You just had broccoli and chicken today." That's a red flag right there. That's diet culture at its best, telling you you're doing really good by not really eating very much at all. The other thing to consider is it sustainable? Is this something you can only do for a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months? Or is this something that 3 years from now, when you have a birthday party to go to or whatever the case may be, you have kids, grandkids, something like that, some fun event, are you going to be able to do it with them? Or are you going to be sitting on the sidelines unable to participate? So these are all great things to think about as you're looking through diet patterns and different things. Does it take into account mental health? Does it take into account physical activity? Is it sustainable? Is it something that includes all food groups? There is an exception, of course, if you have food allergies, but that's pretty rare actually. So some people may have serious intolerances, and that's something to consider as well. I'm happy to talk through that with you. I did put my email address for those who arrive late. It's Kara, Kara.miller@sodexo.com. It's in your chat box. Feel free to send me a note. All your mics are muted throughout the presentation just to keep everything straightforward, but towards the end, I will be answering questions that come up in the chat box. So if you do have questions that you think would be pertinent for the group, please feel free to share those in the chat and I'll get to those in just a minute. So Kara, you told us all about these fad diets and why we should probably avoid them. So now what? I think we need to get back to basics. I have a few keys to success, but it really comes down to things that are sustainable, things that you can do on a regular basis, things that you can do for a long period of time, taking into consideration things that make you feel good, things that make you feel like you're able to be included in a group and not isolated. So what is that? We're going to talk about hydrate, feel great. We're going to talk about the funnel effect. This is one that I love to talk about with all the classes that I teach. So if you come back in February or in March or in April, you'll probably hear something similar again. This is a good one to think through, and it pertains to meals and snacks. So I'll walk you through that concept. And then we're going to go through goal setting. So a very brief slide towards the end. What I want you to be thinking about throughout the presentation is one thing that I talk about. Maybe it's like an aha moment, or maybe something like, I've been thinking about doing that and I just haven't committed. But towards the end, I'm going to have you take out a piece of paper. Maybe you've got a sticky note on your desk, something. Write down your goal so that you can keep yourself accountable. And we'll talk about that as we get towards the end. But just fair warning, you're going to be asked to write a goal. You're not going to have to share with the group. I'm not going to call on you. But I do want you to take it seriously and be ready with a pen and paper when we get to that time. Okay, so hydrate, feel great. When I was in college, I was really tired all the time. I had to go through nutrition counseling as a student so that I could learn how to counsel individuals as I got older. And one of the things that I told my professor was that I was feeling really tired. And I said, well, I'm probably not sleeping enough. And, I'd probably just chalk it up to being a college kid. And she said, Kara, you probably should drink more water. And I said, well, I'm drinking 50, 60 ounces a day. That's pretty close, right? She said, well, double it for a week or two and let me know how you feel. And I thought, well, one, I'm going to be peeing all the time. But she reminded me that your bladder is a muscle and it will catch up. So give yourself a little break, give yourself a week or two. But the other thing that I realized is that even though water doesn't provide calories, it doesn't provide us with energy, it does help us to more efficiently use the energy that we've got. So it's like this giant water wheel, if you think of it. It puts in hydrogen and oxygen, our little Mickey Mouse water molecules for any of my chemistry buffs out there. And it helps us to spin the energy cycle so that we actually feel more energized. And you may notice that on days that you're drinking more water, you actually feel like you have more energy, even though you haven't consumed more calories. Our bodies, our brains are mostly composed of water. And so it is really important that we are giving ourselves enough water to function properly. So how much is that? If you take your weight in pounds and you divide it by 2, that's roughly the amount of ounces that you need per day at a minimum. That's without extra exercise or sweat losses, things like that. So think about your weight, divide it by 2, and that's roughly the amount of water that you should drink per day. So I upped my water, right? I could probably be, I don't know, maybe 70 ounces a day, something like that. My professor said, hey, up it even more. Can you get in 100 ounces a day and see how you feel? I was really impressed by the amount of energy that I had. And so a lot of times when I feel a little foggy or I feel like, oh gosh, I'm feeling kind of sluggish, I have to take a look at my water intake and say, am I really getting in enough? So even though that weight divided by 2 is a good guide, you actually may need more than that. So don't hold yourself to the minimum. If you can up it even a little bit more, that's great. So what are some ways that you can do that? I love finding a favorite water bottle. So if you're getting bored with your old one, they're not super expensive. Go out and get yourself a new one. Get it to be exciting, something to look forward to. I do appreciate a straw myself. Some people like a pop top, some people like a screw lid, whatever works for you, whatever helps you to drink more water. This time of year, although today is an exception, it's beautiful outside. You're probably out enjoying your walk, maybe listening on the side. I like hot tea, hot water. You can even put lemon, a little bit of cinnamon in, makes like a hot lemonade. That's super delicious. You may try a soup broth or even an infused water. You can infuse your waters at home with fruit. And I'll show you on the next slide a couple examples, or you can cheat. I'm all about a quick one. This is hint water. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but they do have these in the grocery store, and it's just honestly a squeeze of something. So it's like a hint of some kind of flavor. We also have flavored waters in our retail locations across campus. So if you are looking for a hydration option, you have many available to you. Just make sure you choose one and stick to it. So just think about one way that you can increase your water. I think you really will see a difference. I mentioned to you that I would show you a slide with some infused water, and I do like to have a little bit of fun. So this is a fun one from home. I do have an Instagram page. If you all want to join me on Instagram, it's dietitian_Cara. And so you can find me there, but this is some infused water. So one has orange and strawberries, one has cucumber and lemon, which is really refreshing, especially in the summertime. Grapes make great ice cubes. They don't provide a ton of flavor, but they're colorful and they look really nice. And they're little popsicles too. If you just eat them frozen, they're delicious. So try out some different things. You can see you can make a big pitcher that holds in the refrigerator for 3 days. So slice up some lemons or oranges and keep it nice and fresh. Make sure that you're getting in your water. I think you really will feel better. Another side note is that hunger and thirst are right next to each other in the brain. So I don't know if you've been like me, but I'll like eat something like, oh, that really didn't quite do it. Let me try this. Nope, that didn't quite do it. Let me try this. And my body is saying like, Cara, will you please just drink some water? So make sure that we're drinking water. That also helps to regulate your hunger hormones. All right, on to the funnel effect. What the heck is this? It is the funnel effect. Your stomach is like a giant funnel. You can see at the bottom of that stomach diagram, you've got like a little funnel there at the bottom. Do you see how that kind of forms? And so if you think about your food and putting it into milk or water, if it gets mushy, like think about cereal, leaving it in milk for a long time, it gets real mushy. That slips right through your funnel. And so it doesn't tell your brain that you're full. To feel full, your stomach needs to stretch, which sends up hormones up to your brain to tell you that you're full. If it gets mushy and slips right through, that doesn't really happen. So I always ask people, is it a mushy food? Is it crackers, pretzels, chips, cereal, even a smoothie? I had a student once and they said, I feel like I'm over consuming, but I don't know where it's coming from. And I said, well, what's in your smoothie? And they said, well, I usually put a couple cups of lettuce or like spinach. I do a scoop of peanut butter, a banana, an apple, juice of something. And they went on. And I said, well, if you put that on a plate, would you be able to eat all of that? And they said, oh, no. And I said, then please don't drink it. Unless you're my big basketball guys who need to be consuming tons of calories and they need to get in those liquid calories, make sure that you're eating your food. So think about this. If you were to put broccoli or carrots in water, it'd just sit there, right? A chicken breast would just sit in water. It wouldn't really turn to mush. An egg or hard-boiled egg, that would just sit there. So these are all things that are going to stretch your stomach to tell your brain that you're full. Now, does that mean that you're not ever allowed to have smushy calories? No, absolutely not. I love me good mushy calories. Ice cream is probably one of my favorite foods. So, but what you have to do is watch the portion size. What this means is that anything that turns to mush in milk or water, you have to watch the portion size of, because your body is not going to regulate that portion size for you. However, if you sit down with a bowl of grapes, your body will tell you that you're full when you get enough. So I don't want people counting out 15 grapes or something. I want you to listen to your body and let it tell you when you're full, because that's a non-mushy calorie and it's going to send the signals up to your brain to tell you that you're full when the time is right. So that's the difference. One, you have to watch the portion sizes, and the non-mushy foods, they will help regulate that for you based on your body's physiology. Okay, so let's go over some examples. Here's hummus. You've got your pita chips. You've got your pretzels. These are all mushy calories, right? They also tend to be tan, white, brown, orange. So if we're looking at our plate and you see a lot of color, that's also a good sign that you're not having that many mushy calories. If you look over here on the right, you've got the tomatoes, carrots, bell peppers, broccoli, very colorful, beautiful to look at, but also are non-mushy calories. So they are going to keep you full a little bit longer. How do you use this information? One thing that I've started to do is have people take pictures of their plates. I did weight management in the Chicago suburbs for almost 5 years. And we did a lot of food logs. I did a lot of different types of weight loss. We used the ketogenic diet. We did some weight loss surgeries. And I do think there's a time and place for those, but I think you can learn a lot just by a few simple tips. So rather than keeping food logs and tracking every calorie and saying, oh, shoot, I went over by 10 calories. I did terrible today. No, there's 3,500 calories in 1 pound, 3,500 calories in 1 pound. If you go over by 10 calories, that is not a failed day. But calories were also never meant to be counted. I want you to pay attention to how you're feeling. Some people may be on this call not looking for weight management, but just looking for healthy options or trying to figure out what's going on with their tummy troubles. You can learn a lot just by paying attention to your body. So if you take a picture of your plate, you can save it in a folder on your phone, or if it's on your computer, and you can easily page through the days and see, where's my color, where's my protein. If you've got, can I easily identify the color and the protein on your plate, that is going to be the non-mushy foods, and your body will be regulating that portion for you. If you look down at your plate and it's all tan, brown, orange, you might be missing the mark. You may be over consuming some calories. You might be hungry a couple hours after eating. I always give my cereal example, or everyone can sit down and like eat a giant sleeve of crackers and then be like, what's for dinner, right? We've all done that before. So that's because those are smushy calories. They slip right through your funnel and you're not going to feel that full. So another thing to think of is avoid the all or nothing thoughts. Again, it can lead to like this good, bad kind of thing. Like I've done bad, so I am bad. That can be really harmful for our inner dialogue, but also don't do all or nothing. If you're going to Chick-fil-A and you love fried chicken, maybe you love the fried chicken sandwich, that's great. My kids love chicken nuggets. I'm not going to tell them no, but we will try to have some fruit or something on the side. So instead of saying, oh, I'm going to go all in, I'm going to have a total splurge day, I'm going to have the fried chicken with the French fries and the milkshake and the soda. What's your favorite thing? Do you love the French fries? Then get the French fries, but maybe you want to get a grilled chicken wrap on the side. There's ways to create some of this moderation without it being all or nothing. Or I had a bad dinner, so forget it. I'm going to eat whatever I want tonight. I'm going to start again tomorrow. We've all had some of those kinds of thoughts before. If you're going out for a sub sandwich, most of my accounts have some sort of sub sandwich option. You can get the splurge with lots of meat and cheese and things like that that are not very colorful. If that's your favorite sandwich, then make sure you add a salad or some fruit or something colorful on the side. That being said, maybe you love the chips. Okay, then maybe get a turkey sandwich and add a whole bunch of veggies to that. There's a lot of options and we shouldn't hold ourselves to the all or nothing mentality. This also pertains to breakfast. If you have a nice veggie omelet, maybe you want to have some potato hash browns or something on the side. Or maybe you want to do a breakfast sandwich that doesn't have as much color to it, and then you can add some fruit. So you do have lots of choices. It can be very empowering if you have those choices, because it's not something then like, okay, tonight's my last night for a whole month to have blank. Making sure that you're able to include all foods is really important. Here's a good diagram just to give you a visual, but if you make half of your plate vegetables, and at least colorful things, maybe you call it fruits and vegetables, that's a lot of color. And then a quarter of your plate be protein, that gives you a good amount of protein to help keep your funnel full. And then if you leave a quarter to maybe even a third of your plate to be those starches or those tan, brown, orange options, your body's going to do a really good job regulating your fullness, your satiety, and that will help you navigate your options as well. So if you're going through the dining hall, do a look through. I'm going to help you find a few ways to navigate the dining halls on campus as well. But I wanted to give you a plate diagram first so that when you're walking through, you kind of know where you might want to put some things. Now, this doesn't include things that are like complex foods. So if you think of like a pizza or a casserole, something that has everything mixed in, but I will caution you, just because something says it has vegetables in it doesn't mean that that meets that half a plate guideline. Think about your vegetable fried rice. It does have vegetables in it, but I definitely wouldn't count that as half a plate of vegetables. So if you have half a plate of vegetable rice, wouldn't count it as a half a plate of vegetables. So making sure that you are filling it with very colorful things, and that will help you. It's going to give you extra nutrition. It's going to help you with your immune boost for right now, especially as we're all trying to stay healthy. It's going to help you with your fiber intake, which is going to help you with your tummy. It's going to help you feel full a little bit longer. The protein is going to maintain our muscle mass, maintain our energy levels, but carbohydrates are also super important. Some people have trouble with gluten is the biggest one right now that I hear people talk about. But just so that you're aware, our bodies naturally bloat with gluten. It doesn't necessarily mean you have an intolerance. So we have little bacteria in our belly. And when you consume gluten, they get really happy, kind of like when you eat broccoli and they get kind of happy and you get a little bloated. If it's making you really uncomfortable, it's disrupting things throughout the day, absolutely cut back, or maybe you want to avoid some of those options. But just because your belly feels a little distended after you have a sandwich with regular bread does not mean that you have a gluten intolerance. Just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. On to mindful eating. So some of you may have heard of this, mindful eating, or maybe you've heard it called intuitive eating, but I did want to talk about this a little bit. I talked about your feeling of fullness and how you need to stick with the non-smushy foods to really regulate that. But I did want to talk about your hunger on a scale. So let's talk about some mindful eating, some ways that you can be more mindful, more intentional, more aware of what's going on as you're consuming your meals. If you have a hunger scale and 1 is like you're totally famished, you're starving, and 10 is you just had Thanksgiving dinner, you're ready for a nap. Everyone knows what I'm talking about? Okay, you want to hang out between a 3 and a 7. So when you start to get a little bit hungry is a good time to have something so that you don't get totally famished and overindulge later. The other thing is you don't want to live in like the 7 to 10 range where you're constantly feeling pretty full. It can make you feel a little bit sluggish. It can make you feel a little bit tired if you're over fueling too frequently. So it's trying to stay within that 3 to 7, but you have to be mindful. Experience your food. Are you smelling? Are you tasting? I tell my kids, like, you're not allowed to say ick, yuck, gross. Not allowed. What don't you like? Is it too slimy? Is it too mushy? Is it the smell? I can get around all of those things. As a dietitian, you can find the tips and tricks on the internet as well. But there are a lot of ways to help yourself navigate. Maybe you don't like mushy foods. I think my husband might even be on the line. He hates things that pop. That's so weird to me, but like grapes or cherry tomatoes, when they pop, you know what I'm talking about? He doesn't like it. Okay, well, let's cut it in half. That solves that. So there's a lot of different ways that we can get around things if you're more mindful of things that you like, the taste, the flavor, the smell, the texture, all of those things. And you can get yourself a little bit more sensitized. So if you're constantly consuming things with a lot of refined sugar or white stuff, cutting back a little bit, trying to add in more color, you'll notice over time, things will start to taste more sweet. An apple will taste more sweet to you, and maybe that donut or something like that will actually taste too sweet. No food is off limits. We talked about that. No good or bad foods and no judgment. If you eat a pint of ice cream, don't say, oh no, I blew it. I'm terrible. I can't believe I did that. Or don't let other people tell you that. You know, maybe it's not your own voice in your head. Maybe it's someone else's. Maybe you're reading something on the internet. Maybe it's a family member or a friend. Making sure that you're having positive people involved in your life is really important for good nutrition. Think about how you feel. I mentioned feeling a little bit distended, but think about it. You know, if you're eating something, how are you feeling? Do you feel more energetic? Do you feel better when you're eating fruits and vegetables? Do you feel more sluggish with other things? Maybe it's a birthday party and you have cake and you feel awesome because you're so excited. My daughter's birthday is this week. I can't wait to eat cake. Okay, so something like that. Think about it, making sure that you're feeling good. No distractions. I know when I was growing up is don't sit in front of the TV, don't sit in front of the TV, don't sit in front of, okay, great. We've gotten away from that, but now we've got computers, now we've got our phones. And so even though we aren't in front of a television, we are distracted and we're not paying attention to our eating. Also eat with a friend. Don't be isolated as best you can. I know right now is really hard and challenging. Everyone is on their own, but if you can even Zoom or FaceTime with somebody during your lunch period, it just brings more enjoyment to the meal. And I fully believe that meals are supposed to be enjoyed. Memories are to be had around them. Community is to be had around meals. So please try not to isolate. Make sure that you're dining with friends. All right, let's get to the dining hall. Things on campus. I asked a few of our culinary team members to provide me with a few fun facts of pounds or ounces of things that we use in the dining hall so that I could convert them into a graphic and give you some visuals. So all of these numbers are per week, but I want you to know we are using tons of fresh fruits and vegetables, lots of whole grains. So I know when I was in college and even prior, when my folks talk about going to college, they're like, oh, it was like not great food. I think times have changed and I hope that you will see that. So one example is that we go through 190 backpacks full of broccoli every week. That is a ton of broccoli. Another one, those industrial size wheelbarrows, if you fill that up with fresh greens, we go through 18 wheelbarrows per week, those big ones. At one of my accounts, they provided me with a carrot statistic. And if you take the weight of a panda bear, that's how many pounds of fresh carrots we use each week. Fresh produce overall, if you take, again, the weight of 2,000 basketballs, that's the amount of produce that we're using at one of the accounts. Fresh fruit per week is the weight of a baby grand piano. I know my Belmont folks will appreciate the music reference. And then I did convert, we have a bunch of rice and grains. Some of the accounts have vegan lines. So excluding breads, just looking at the grains, and again, looking at the amount of ounces, I wanted it to be comparable to something that you would find in your own home. So we get in big bags of grain, right? But if you were to take those little minute rice bags that you get at the grocery store, similar to like an Uncle Ben's or something, we would go through 900 packets of those each week in just the grains, not including all our whole grain bread options and things like that. So that is a lot of fresh options for you. And now I want to help you navigate them and find them throughout the dining hall. Know your logos. So there I am, all fancy like Vanna White. Vegetarian options are labeled with this V. All of these emblems you're going to see on our Bite app, which I'm going to mention to you in a little bit. I'll help you download it. We also have it on our website where our menu is found. I'll help you with those as well. And in our dining hall. Some of my accounts have electronic signage and some of them have printed signs, but you will see all of these emblems on the items that you'll find in the dining hall. So vegetarian does include items that have milk and egg, but those are considered vegetarian, that orange letter V. Vegan options, those are things that don't include any animal products. So this even includes white refined sugar. I think this was a really interesting statistic that they often refine sugar with bone char, and that's why it's not considered vegan. So vegan options, no animal products. They go a little extra. They get the extra letter, VG, and they're very green, right? So that's how I remember that one. VG, green, they go a little extra. That's our vegan option. And then I am going to talk about this heart emblem. I've gotten asked before, is that like a chef's choice or what does that mean? Heart healthy? You're on the right track. The heart indicates a mindful choice. So they're broken down into categories. We have an entree item, side items, soups, desserts and beverages. They all go through this kind of giant calculator, and it's looked at total calories, total fat, saturated fat, sodium, added sugar, and fiber. So as we mentioned, all those tan, brown, orange things, remember the smushy ones? Those are things that are typically higher in the fats and saturated fats, sodium, and refined grains like our sugar, added sugar. The ones that are holding up more in our body that help us feel more full are the fiber-rich things, ones with vitamins and minerals and lots of color. So this is portrayed through this mindful logo. When you see something with this mindful logo, it's not going to be a heavy cream-based soup. It's going to be a broth-based soup. You might see things that have less sauces on them. It's going to be more simply prepared. They're going to have the vegetables, the fruits, the meats that are not breaded or deep fried. All of these would meet the mindful criteria, so you can look for that emblem as you look through your options. A few of my accounts have simple servings. If you need more information on that, please let me know. But I highly recommend this station if you all have it in your dining facility. Even though it's geared towards students with food allergies, it does avoid milk, wheat, shellfish, tree nuts, egg, soy, peanuts, and gluten. It's really simply prepared, as I mentioned. So it's very easy to find a meat, starch, and a vegetable. It's a great way to start your plate to get those great portions, like I talked about the portion plate. And then you can go around to the other stations and fill up on what you want. This is not only for students with allergies, so please venture over to that location to see what we've got there for the day. Speaking of knowing what's where, the Bite app is wonderful. They've made some updates, especially, so if you downloaded a previous app, please update your version. But this is Bite by Sodexo Universities. You can get it in your app store. It is free to download. The nice thing about this is that our retail locations are now included as well. So you can order before you go, skip the line. It does have a payment option. And if you do have Bruin Bucks or any of the dining points, like a Bison Cash on your account, through the dining hall, you can use that to pay, or you can use credit or debit card. The other nice thing is you can select the dining facility where your cafeteria is located. And you can click on the day. You can see up here, this was from last week, January 21st on Thursday. It breaks it down by meal period. So you can see here that lunch is highlighted. And then it breaks it down by station. So as we're living in this COVID world, a lot of people are trying to navigate the dining halls more quickly. They're trying to find their options and go, or find their options and go to be seated so they can start their meal. This is really helpful to know what's where. We may have like small variations, but almost always these are very accurate. And the nice thing about it is they do label the allergens here. You can see that this chocolate chip cookie has milk, egg, wheat, and soy. As a reminder, if you do have food allergies, please ask to be served and tell us, our staff, that you have an allergy. We need to double check recipes and make sure that there hasn't been any cross contact throughout the process of making the item. But if you are curious just ahead of time, or maybe it's a slight intolerance and you're not sensitive to cross contact, this would be an instance you could look at the allergy information. If you look at entree here, you will see we have mindful. It does meet vegan and vegetarian. If it meets vegan criteria, it will automatically be vegetarian, but vegetarian, because it can contain milk and egg, will not always be vegan. So you can help navigate your options through that. And again, looking for these mindful options if you're looking for healthy ideas for eating on campus. Be in the know. I did mention, if you scroll up a little bit higher on the chat, that I did put everyone's dining location, their direct link there. It's usually the school name.sodexomyway.com. I highly recommend saving this to your phone. I have it on mine as quick reference, but I found it really helpful for others as well. You can pull up locations which have menus on them. You can see what's open now. Maybe you arrive late to work and you're like, dang it, I forgot to have my breakfast. What's open? What could I even have? Click the website, click what's open, and you will easily see what's open right at that time. They do adjust for different hours. So for example, we just had MLK, which had some variation in our hours. Those will be updated on that website as well. The menus are online, which I mentioned. You can go to the dining hall location and see the menus there. Again, labeling all those icons I just mentioned. We do have a Meet the Teams page. If you're looking to get in contact with someone, my information is there as well. And there are locations to add on your campus bucks. Every account calls them a little something different, but I highly recommend these. These are you do get a tax break with them. So everything is dollar for dollar. If you want to use them in the dining hall as a swipe, it doesn't count as a swipe, but it will charge you the door entrance. Each account, some of them do have some faculty and staff discounts, so I do recommend reaching out to your universities to see what those discounts may be. And also a reminder, these bucks never expire, so they are on your ID, your university ID. You can swipe it at the retail locations, you can use it to pay on the app, or you can swipe it and use it in the dining hall, which are all really convenient. I also have a few friends this year who are trying to really meet a tight budget, and this is a great way for them to budget some of that money to make sure that their food on campus is within their budgetary means. So again, if you take the website, hit your share button, most of us know where that is, and then hit save to home screen, you can save that website right to your home screen for really easy access. One of the last topics I wanted to cover are our snacks. So again, thinking about that hunger scale on 1 to 10, when you get to like a 3, probably need to have a snack. You want to eat something about every 4 hours. That is not a magic number, but I do find that when you wake up in the morning, you're given this box of willpower coins. And as you go out throughout the day, you're kind of using these willpower coins, right? So by the end of the day, if you're hungry on your scale, and you've used up all your willpower coins, these are the evenings that are really hard for us to manage. Maybe we overdo it on a convenient dinner option, or maybe we're over snacking in front of the TV while we're feeling tired and it's been a long day, but we just don't feel like we have the willpower. We're going to start again tomorrow. The other thing is to help you regulate your plate. Eating that every 3 to 4 hours is a really good goal. Avoiding the mushy things, watching our portion sizes, and always having access to some kind of a snack. That doesn't mean you have to keep it in your desk drawer, but keep access to something, because if you don't have a plan, that's your plan. So just make sure that you do have something handy. Otherwise, you're going to go to a vending machine. You're going to grab a convenient option on the way home. You're going to try to muscle through, and then you're going to way overeat at your next meal. So keeping something handy is really important. There are great options for at your desk, or if you have a briefcase or backpack, those are really convenient. I always keep these little things. So I even brought these from home today. This is my plan, but I've got like a little Cliff Bar. I've got a little Kind Bar. They're portion controlled. They're shelf stable. I just keep them right at my desk. You can do an apple with peanut butter, trail mix, as long as they're like individually packed. You can even individual pack your own snack packs. If you're just eating though, like if you've got a big thing of trail mix or nuts or something and you're just eating, you can very easily overconsume. About a cup of nuts, like the size of a baseball, is about 800 calories. So again, not calorie counting, but these are one of those smushy options. Nuts and seeds are wonderful for us. They provide great nutrition, but we have to watch that portion size. Our body is not going to watch the portion size for us. Oatmeal is great, very shelf stable, just add hot water, that's super convenient. We have the tuna packs with crackers or some kind of pretzels or something. Protein shakes are nice. I don't always love them as a meal replacement. You typically need to add something to it, but they are great for an afternoon pick-me-up. I mean, we've all had like the chocolate craving, you just don't know what to choose, but some of those protein shakes are around 100, 150 calories. They've got like the muscle milk in our retail locations. A lot of these things, even the Kind bars, you can find at the convenience stores right on campus. And again, you could use those bison bucks or declining points, whatever you've got for your campus cash, and you can skip the tax on those, which is really nice. Refrigerator options are great as well. We've got the Simply to Go logo up on the corner there, that green emblem. These are all things that are made in-house. We've got yogurt parfaits, cheese and grape cups, hard-boiled eggs. A lot of these things are non-mushy things. So when we're talking about good nutrition, this is definitely going to meet the mark. It's going to help you feel full and get you to your next meal without feeling deprived. And again, don't forget hydration. So we've got a lot of hydration options across campus. You can get them at your local grocery store, wherever you're finding it to be most convenient, but just make sure that you're getting some good, well-rounded nutrition. All right, now's your chance. I warned you this was coming, that you're going to have to make a goal. So I am just going to give you 1 or 2 minutes. I want you to think about your SMART goals. You may have even used this if you're a professor in class having your students make goals, but something specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. I want you to think about something. What is one thing you could do this week, by the end of the week? What's something you could do? Maybe it's go to the grocery store. Maybe it's pack a snack tomorrow. Maybe it is buy a new water bottle. Maybe it is add some of those brew and bucks to your account. Next week, what are you going to do? What's one thing you could do next week? And then what's something that would be a good end goal by the end of the month? I'm just going to give you 1 minute and then we'll circle back. So take a little pen and paper and just take a minute to yourself and just write down one SMART goal. All right, you may be still working and that's totally fine, but I do want to get to some questions at the end if anybody has them. So we're going to move on, but I would encourage you to not keep this goal to yourself. Maybe there's a coworker, maybe there's a friend, maybe it's a spouse or family member. Share your goal. What is your goal? If we just keep it to ourselves, it's a lot harder for us to accomplish our goals. So please reach out to someone. I know some universities even have this as their HR promotion through faculty and staff. They have to make some goals and reach them. So this may be something you could even use for some health benefits. All right, one more time, if you were looking to add some of those campus bucks to your account, again, check out the chat box. I did link directly to the university that you may be pertaining to. Find the website. At the top right, you're going to see the menu button, those 3 lines across the top, and then you're going to select My Meal Plan. And under there is going to be a link to add those bucks to your campus ID. Again, they give you the tax break, which is really nice. And they don't expire. So you can use those for a long time and you can use them anywhere across campus. You can use them at the convenience locations, you can use them at the retail restaurants, and you can use them in the on-campus dining hall. All right. That's it for today. If you have something else to go to or somewhere else to be, that's totally fine. As mentioned, I am recording the session as long as technology held with me through that. And I will be able to send out that link if you want it specifically. My email address is there. Shoot me an email and say, hey, can I get a copy of the recording? I'm happy to send it to you. Our next session will be the last Tuesday in February 23rd at 11:30. It'll be the same format. Invite a friend. We're going to talk about heart health. I'm going to go over know your numbers, the differences in cholesterol and how to read those numbers you might be getting back from your physician. We'll talk about blood pressure and then different ways that your nutrition can affect your heart health. So that should be a good talk for February, which is Heart Health Month. I'll take any questions. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat box. If you have to go, thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, please reach out if you have any questions and give me a follow on Instagram. Thank you so much for your time.